those who can't necessarily help themselves has been one of my passions for as long as I can remember. One of my earliest memories of this was when I was asked to pair up with a boy in my Sunday school class who had autism spectrum disorder. Most people wouldn't really acknowledge that their parents' occupation would have any significance on their life, but for me, that just wasn't the case. My mom's occupation as a speech-language pathologist and her work with children who have special needs has been one of the most influential factors in my life thus far. One defining characteristic about myself is that I love working with children really just in general, and my mom's work with children who have special needs has been the most influential factor in my decision to hopefully pursue a career in occupational therapy. My mom has the most amazing work ethic and determination to make a difference in her field, and I think that's really what sets her apart from the other therapists and why it was so influential on me to hopefully pursue a career in occupational therapy. So my therapist seeds were first planted in first grade when my parents were my Sunday school leaders, and they asked me to pair up with Max, who had autism spectrum disorder, because most first graders don't really understand why Max was the way he was and why he said the things he did. So I was kind of his buddy in the class, just to help him feel included and wanted. And so from then on, my mom asked me to attend Social Skills Academy with her, which was just a 6-week summer program, and students from across the district would come, and the students had autism spectrum disorder and Down syndrome and a couple in between, and so they would come to enhance their understanding of social situations, be more comfortable around their peers and practice common social interactions, just kind of like small talk conversations, which can come really easily to us but can be really difficult for students with disabilities. And so I would help role play those social scenarios with them, guide their reactions and responses, play games with them, and of course arts and crafts. And so after those couple of summers, my mom hinted like, hey, like you get along really great naturally with these students, maybe you want to, when you're older, think about maybe pursuing a career with them. I was like, yeah, that'd be really cool. And so in high school, I had the opportunity to be an aide for the Circle of Friends class, and that was by far the most amazing experience I've had already. And it was so amazing because I was able to attend their speech and occupational therapy sessions, so I kind of got to see what my mom would do in a classroom and what I could potentially be doing in a classroom as well. And so it was so interesting to see how a weighted blanket or sitting in a hammock or just tossing a beanbag could get them away from the stress of a structured classroom setting and just be relaxed and be more comfortable in their skin and be more interactive with their peers. And so after having that experience, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. I want to work with these kids for the rest of my life and hopefully make their life a little easier. And so now that I've kind of talked about my background in occupational therapy, I want to tell y'all a little bit about what the occupational therapy field looks like. So it tends to be confused with physical therapy, which is understandable because they are so similar. Occupational therapy, however, focuses on like readjustment instead of rehabilitation like physical therapy, and it's very dependent on the individual, and it can include major or minor lifestyle changes just depending on the situation of the individual. And so I'm very lucky to be entering into such a flexible field because it allows the therapist to focus on what they're most passionate about and what they're going to work hardest to change. And so this can look like a hospital setting, a clinical setting, or a practice setting, or even a school setting. And so I personally would love to be in the school district and working with students. So a typical day for me would be getting them away from that structured classroom setting and typically focusing on the sensory overload that they face on an everyday basis, because the structure of a classroom can be really overwhelming and confusing. And so my job would be to get away from that and just help them be more comfortable in their own skin. And so now that I've kind of talked about what the occupational therapy field looks like, I want to tell you about the most influential factor in my exposure to this field. And that would be my mom, and I was lucky enough to witness the work my mom did firsthand with these students, and I think that's why it had such an impact on me, because I was able to see the work of a dedicated and amazing therapist. And so she has an amazing passion and heart for what she does, and she has an inspiring amount of patience and diligence to work with her students, her colleagues, and even the parents, because sometimes, y'all, those relationships can get really dicey and really confusing. And so I aspire to be the level of therapist she is, but it's a tall aspiration because she has 20 years of meaningful work behind her. My goal is to be a professional who can connect with a variety of patients and clients, build trusting relationships, and be wholeheartedly committed to my work, just like my mom is. And she strives to make a difference in her students' previous standing, and I think that's why she is such an amazing therapist. And without her letting me go to work with her and trusting me to do that with her, I don't think I would have fallen in love with such an amazing field already. I have found great fulfillment in helping others already by catering to their individual needs, getting to know them on a personal level, and developing unique relationships has already been so gratifying. And I owe my determination and focus to do well here at Texas Tech because of my mom, because I've seen the work of an amazing therapist and what it can do for those students, and that's what I want to do myself. And I wouldn't be so passionate about this field without her. And so today I kind of talked about my background in occupational therapy, what the field of occupational therapy looks like, and of course my mom, which is the most influential factor in my decision to hopefully pursue this career successfully. Thank you.